Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, a while back I shared with you the purchase of a new tool for the shop, this brown Sharpe number 13 universal and tool grinding machine. And I've got a couple of jobs coming up here pretty soon that we're going to need to be using this on. And I need to do a couple of things to kind of get this machine ready to go. Now, one question a lot of you guys asked when I got this is, hey Keith, you're going to do one of your full-blown restorations on this machine? And the answer to that is probably yes, sometime in the future. But right now, my goal is to use this machine. Unlike a lot of machines that come into my shop, this machine is pretty much usable as it is. Cosmetically, it doesn't look that great. There's probably some things that could be improved on it, but it is a functioning machine. And for the short term, until I find out I need to do something different, I'm going to use it. But at some point in time, yes, we probably will go through it and do a restoration on it, just because, hey, that's what I do. But like I said, right now, let's just get it up and going. So first things first, I got this little hub that fits up onto a taper here on the end. There is a nut that tightens this up. And the first thing I need to do is I need to make a special tool to tighten this nut up, because it has basically kind of a screwdriver type slot across it, but there's a hole in the middle for the bolt. It's just a special modified screwdriver looking tool, and I don't have one. We're going to just make one. It's a fairly simple thing. I got a couple other things I'm going to try to do while we're doing some things here, but let's start with getting this tool made so that we can get the grinding wheel properly mounted on there and actually tightened up as it should be. Let's get this knocked out. So this is the hub that holds the grinding wheel. Basically, you just unscrew this. There's a collar in there. You tighten it all up. And you got a tapered piece that fits up onto that tapered stud back there. But to hold it all in place is this nut here. And this screws up onto the spindle, this left-hand threads. But there's a kind of a slot across that you would put a screwdriver in. The problem is with a regular screwdriver comes in there, because that bolt is up through the middle. You know, you kind of need the middle of your screwdriver to be hollowed out. So I'm going to make a tool that basically will just kind of fit right up inside the this end here. It'll just guide right up in there, fit right up into the slots on there and tighten it up. So the inside bore of this is about 15/16 of an inch. Let's see, the diameter of the actual nut is a little over 900 thousandths. I'm just going to get a piece of stock. We're going to go to the lathe. We're going to basically turn it so that it will fit up inside of this. It'll stick out long enough. I'll probably just put a T-handle on it to give me some torque to tighten it up with. And then we'll go to the milling machine. Actually, we're going to drill out the center of that piece of stock where the center hole is. Then we'll go to the mill machine and just mill a slot on the front so that we can put it in there. Fairly simple tool. I could draw it up, but I kind of got it in my mind how I'm going to do it. And if you don't, you'll see it as we go. Let's see if we knock this out. So to make this tool from, I just dug around in my scrap pile. I found a piece of metal. This is actually, it's a little under 1 inch, but that's what it needs to be. I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. It's about 4 inches long, and again, we'll machine that on the end. We'll put a T-handle in it and turn this into a usable tool. So let's go to the lathe and get started on this. Over at my Monarch 16-inch lathe, and we're going to start here by just facing the bottom and getting a nice flat surface down there. That should work. I'm going to zero out my digital readout. And I need to turn this down a little bit in diameter, about 1.5 inches deep. So I'm going to take a little light cut, and I'm going to go in 1.5 inches according to the digital readout on the depth of cut there, or the length of cut. This is not a critical measurement. I just need to have clearance. All right, let's see what we are on our diameter. I'm measuring 950, we'll call it 954. Put that in my digital readout, 0.954. To get clearance, I need to go to about 925, and again, this is not a critical measurement. I just want to confirm that that'll fit up over this shaft. So that's going to be perfect. All right, I need to drill a hole in the end. I need to drill a 1/2 inch hole, and that'll give us clearance for that bolt. Center drill here, and we're just going to put a little dimple in the middle to kind of get my hole started right in the center. All right, that's in the center. Now I'm going to put a drill bit in there and we'll drill it out. Got a 1/2 inch drill bit. We'll just drill in a little bit of room there for clearance. That ought to be deep enough. Just going to take a deburring tool here and just deburr that by hand on the inside. And I think I'll go ahead and put a chamfer on that end just because. Just go in there and lightly break that edge. All right, this end is done. I'm going to flip it around, and we just need to face the back side just to clean it up. Over at the milling machine, and for work holding, I'm going to use this little collet block. This is a square collet block, which will allow me to put this in the vise and kind of flip it around 180 degrees and kind of just work off of one side and make sure I keep things centered up real well. So to do this, I've got a 1-inch collet in here. I'm going to drop my part down here. I'm going to go tighten this up on my vise, and this should hold the work straight up and down for me to cut the slot in there. So let me go get this tightened up, and we'll be right back. So again, I'm just shooting for a slot, a little piece in the middle that's going to be that's about 1/8 of an inch wide, 125 thousandths. So the slot here needs to be just slightly under that where it'll fit. And to do this, I'm using a ball end mill. That way my slots will kind of flare out in the bottom. You could use a regular square end mill, it wouldn't matter, but this will just look a little bit nicer. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to take a pass off this backside. I'm going to just, instead of going forward and backwards, I'm just going to flip the part 180. I'll take a pass, flip the part 180, do another pass, and that way we'll be basically keeping it cutting symmetrically. It should end up being with the slot being right in the middle without having to do a bunch of math and figuring out measurements and where I need to stop and everything else. Just make life a little easier. So I got my depth of cut going down 1/2 inch. That takes in 1/4 inch the radius to come out, and that'll leave me 1/4 of an inch of straight. I only need 1/8 to do the job, so that should give me plenty of room there. I'm going to come in, touch off. I'm going to start with a fairly light pass just to kind of see how things are going to cut. Yep, my part is moving in the vise. So let me make a little adjustment here. I need to put a stop here on the end. Oh, that's flush. I can work with that. All right. Still wanting to kind of push it over in the vise. So let me, yeah, this was supposed to be easy. Okay, plan B. So the little collet block just wasn't going to have enough holding power to hold it in there, so I went and grabbed my spin fixture here. This is basically it's got a 3-jaw chuck on here that will firmly hold that in place. This is on a kind of a dividing head. It's not really a dividing head. It's not really a rotary table. It's just, but you can dial in whatever angles you want on here very easily. So I'm going to touch off on here. We'll do one side, flip it around 180 degrees, do the other side. I've got it on the 180 mark right here, right now. So I'm going to basically be doing off of 0 and 180. And the way this is indexed, it just, you'll see, it's just 4 quick movements of this lever down here to move it to the other side, and it'll take it right in where it needs to be. So I've got it flipped over. I'm just coming in on a clean side here. Just kind of start off with a touch off on. So just so I can kind of get my first cut going. All right, so we're just gonna come off of there. I'm gonna zero out my digital readout. Again, for right now, I'm gonna do 25 thousandths on the depth of cut, just to kind of give me a starting point. And we will just cut right through there. I'm gonna come back out, we'll unlock. At 0. I've already made a cut on that side, so that worked good. All right, let me feed in. Make another pass. Out, flip around the other side. See where we're at now. All right, as expected, about 129, which means we got 4 thousandths to go, about 2 thousandths per side. I do want to just do it's not quite fitting on there yet. All right, I'm dialed in 3 thousandths. It needs to be just a little bit thinner than 125 to fit properly. And let's try this side. All right, right now I'm measuring just a tad under 125. I may have to take off just at least a little bit more to get this to fit. No, actually, that's a pretty tight fit right there. So I think we're just going to call it good enough. I'm going to take this out and go deburr everything, and I think we'll have a nice fit. So there you can kind of see what the end looks like. There's our nut. It fits up over there. It will bridge over the screw on the inside, but engage on the outside and turn. And all of this fits nicely up inside the bore of the hub. Right here, so we can reach up in there and turn that. So all I need to do now is put a T-handle in here, and I think we'll have this little tool knocked out. Well, let's try it out here. So I'm going to take my hub, put it up on the tapered arbor. This is the nut that goes in this side. This has got left-hand threads on it. So instead of righty-tighty, we're going to actually turn it left, and that will tighten up that hub. And boom, there we go. One hub tightening wrench. I will put that in the cabinet over here on this machine so that we have it next time we need it. And this looks good. I'm not ready to put my wheel on yet, but got one other thing I want to do to this before we get that far. So the real common comment that I got on the first video about this is I really need a wheel guard on this. And I agree, I need a wheel guard to go over the wheel in case anything shatters or whatever. Now, fortunately, I was able to find a wheel guard that goes on this machine. This is actually, it was advertised for being for a Brown Sharpe number 13, which is what I've got here. It basically will mount up kind of right in here, and you just clamp it in place, and that you got a wheel guard right over your wheel. Now, looking in the catalog, I don't see one, or in the actual book, I don't see one exactly like this. This could be an older one that was a little bit fancier than some of the newer ones. But regardless, we can make it work, so no big deal. Now, to mount this on, there's this little bolt right here. There's a pin right here. There is a plate that kind of bolts to this and pins in place, and it just has a stud that comes out the front, kind of right over the center of the hub there. This is just a rod, and you can slide this in and out to position it where you want to. Now, the mounting bracket I don't have, whoops, but that is no big deal. We can make a proper mounting bracket to go on here, and that's going to be the next thing we work on here, is making a mounting bracket. So in the parts catalog, you can kind of see what this bracket looks like. This is it right here. There's one on the left and right. Right now I only need one on this side, so I'm just going to make this one, but it's just a little piece of metal with a bar in there, and like I said, we'll figure out exactly how long everything needs to be to work with that particular wheel guard, and we'll get it in place. So I just TIG welded this on the back side and ground it down flush so it looks all right. That's going to hold in place just fine. And now my guard fits right up on this, and we can slide it over our wheel. So let's go ahead and get our wheel mounted. Grounding wheel, this is a, what is this, a 7-inch diameter, 1/2 inch thick with 1 1/4 inch hole through it, which this grinder takes 1 1/4 inch holes with 1/2 inch thick is kind of about the thickest that you can put on this one. I will take my spanner wrench here, tighten this up, and we will take our guard, and I can kind of raise it up high, work its way into where it needs to be, and then drop it down over, tighten up the set screw on the front, and voila, we have a wheel guard. Tighten up this set screw on the top. See where I need it to be at, about right there. That should work, and I'm much happier with that. That major improvement. So when this machine is in operation, there's normally 2 little stops that mount in this T-slot here that engage this little knob, and this basically just goes back and forth, and that's what changes the direction of the table. So the table will feed in this direction, hit the dog, it'll knock it back the other direction, it'll feed back the other direction, hit the dog, and just kind of go back and forth. And you can set it up on an automatic cycle, or it just automatically works within that range based on where these stops are located down here on the bottom. Now, the stops, as I had mentioned in my original video that came with this originally, are really nice stops. They're designed where you can't really see it. There's a rack in the bottom of this groove, and you basically the back of the dog has teeth that mesh with that rack, and they're spring loaded where you can kind of pull them out just a little bit, slide them, pop them back in. It engages in that rack in the back, and that keeps it from moving from side to side. And then there's a little screw micrometer stop in there that you can fine adjust exactly where you want those stops to be. Ideally, I'd like to find a set of those original stops for this, and I'm on the lookout for some. If anybody knows where some are, if somebody's got one of these old machines they're scrapping out, or has some parts laying around. But in the meantime, I need to put some stops in here to make this work. So let's see, when I got this machine, it came with a couple of T-nuts that do fit into the slots here. So I believe someone was using these, but what I need to do is make something to go on the front of these that will engage with that stop and let it go back and forth. So I'm not going to do anything real fancy right now, guys. If I can't find the set originals, I'm probably going to make some, but it's going to be a pretty in-depth job to do it. And right now, I just need to get this machine working. So we're going to just get some stops mounted on here that we can easily adjust and go from there. So let me see what we need to do just that. So I think what I'm going to do on these stops is I've just got a piece of metal here. I'm going to cut some little segments off, mill some slots where it'll kind of roll in this T slot here. I've got the nuts, or the T-nuts, that go in the back that we'll screw into. I ordered a couple of just little hand knobs here. These are 3/8 inch threads on them. And basically we're just going to do this where I can tighten these up and slide them back and forth. It's just going to be a little stop, nothing fancy. On the end, I think I'm going to drill and tap a screw that I can put in here where I have a little fine adjust, kind of like the originals. They have more of a micrometer type setting, but this will, at least if I just need to move it a little bit, I can just adjust the screw in and out. And that will actually come up in contact with the piece here to let it go back and forth. So I'm going to go cut me 2 pieces, and we're going to head over to the milling machine and do a little milling on them, get the holes drilled in them. Like I said, nothing fancy, just make them work. And I'm over here at my 2D vertical milling machine, Kearney Tracker. We're just going to mill basically that little step in there. It's going to ride in that slot. So I need to go down about 100 thousandths deep. I need to come off this back edge 450 thousandths of an inch, cut a groove across there. It needs to be a slot that's about a 1/2 inch wide, and then come on the other side and cut it. So let's get over here and kind of touch off and see where we need to go. Just let that cut across. I'm just going to make a pass down through there. We'll get a measurements on the thickness there and go from there to finish it out. I'm going to take it all the way back to the other side. All that's cutting across. Let's get a measurement on this. All right, we're at 778 thousandths wide. I want to be at 500 thousandths wide, so we got 278 thousandths that needs to come off of that. I got that zeroed out on the digital readout. And I'm just going to bring that in 278 thousandths right there, and we'll cut that across. So I'm going to go clean this up on the belt grinder and test fit it over there, but that should fit just fine. So this will fit right up in there. Slide. A little bit of, I purposely made that a little bit undersized so it will slide just fine. This is not that critical. It's actually got more width to it than the T-nuts do. They're real loose, but anyway, that'll slide in there. I'm going to go cut this in half on the bandsaw, and we're going to get our hole drilled for our stud to go through to tighten this up, and then we'll also drill and tap a hole in the end for the bolt to go into. I'll be right back. All right, I took these and cut them in half, and I just also took them to the belt sander with a fine wheel and just kind of cleaned them up where they're got all the rust and corrosion off of them. So they're kind of shiny right now, no big deal. And again, these will fit in here, slide back and forth. Next thing I want to do is put my through hole through these for the screw, the tightening screw to go into. And I'm just going to work off the back side of this and to kind of center it up on the T-slot. If you notice, one side is a little bit higher than the other, as it is on this. I got it basically flush with the bottom, but there is some room on the top, and this sticks up a little bit higher right there. No big deal, but I do want to make sure my hole is going through the center of the T-slot. So I'm going to go over to the milling machine. Actually, I may do it on the drill press, but I'll do this off camera. I'm just going to drill a couple of holes in there, and while I'm at it, I'll probably wait until I get these on here so I can figure out exactly where I want to put my screw hole for my bolt to go up here. It's going to have to go up on the high end of it, but we'll figure that out as well. All right, I'll be back. So we got our hole drilled in here. I drilled and tapped a hole on the end for my screw to go in for my fine adjust. And I got my T-nut. I actually had to grind the top of these off a little bit. They were a little bit too tall, but we got it all going here. This will now clamp right in like such. See if we get that going here. So there we go, that's going to sandwich in there. And when you tighten that up, that locks that right in place. And same thing on the other side. And I got the little bolt here. I'm going to put that in there. Again, that's just a little fine adjust where you can make a little quick adjustment if you want to. I might tell you what, let me see if I got a lock nut I can put behind that. Well, I don't have any jam nuts. I just got a regular nut in there right now. I'll get some jam nuts ordered. A jam nut is just a thinner nut, so it doesn't quite take up as much of the travel there, but I can take a couple of wrenches and just kind of do a fine adjust there, but basically see how this will work. Loosen that up. You can slide the stop into wherever it needs to go to. And now whenever that comes over and hits that, it'll just push it back and go the other direction. And I'll have one on the other side, just like it, except reverse. Here's my other side, and I do see one little small problem, and that is this little piece right here that's sticking up. This is just a mount to put an indicator on. There was a specific job that you might run on this where you need to put an indicator in here to get an exact repeatability stop. I'm just going to take it out because I'm not going to use it right now. I'll put it in my case down there to go with this. If I need it, I'll have it later on. And yeah, if one day I ever find the correct stops for this, that won't be in the way. But like I said, that's not a game changer at all for me right now. Well, there we go, guys. I think that's going to be a wrap. I think we've got this machine where I can use it now for an upcoming job that I got going on. Again, not perfect solution, particularly with my stops down here, but this will be a satisfactory and functional solution until we can get it done. We got the wrench done to tighten up the wheel. We got a wheel guard on here now. And I will just say I have been able to track down a few other little accessories for this thing that should be coming in soon. I don't really need them for my job coming up, but I'm trying to, if I can find some of this stuff, I'm just trying to go ahead and get it. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting my hands on some of that as well. One thing that I'm going to need to be able to do is to dress a wheel here, and I actually have a wheel dresser coming. So that will take care of that when the time comes. So with that, that is a wrap. As always, thanks guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up, those comments are always greatly appreciated. They really help out a lot with the algorithms on YouTube. Big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and YouTube memberships. Also helps out a really lot around here, and I appreciate everybody that does that as well. And with that, guys, we're going to sign off. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.